Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The NFL Show, as always, is brought to you by BetNow.eu. Make sure you go there, use the promo code TRUTH100 to get a 100% cashback bonus on your first deposit up to $500. I am your co-host for the NFL Show, Mike Good. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host from the FF Face-Off, the real NFL guru, Anthony Servino. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing awesome, Mike. How are you?
All right. There was a holding on you when you did your introduction there, or when you responded to mine. The penalties in the NFL, especially the holdings, are getting to be a little bit ridiculous. There was more penalties in the first half last night than points.
Yeah, and did you see the Tom Brady tweet?
Yeah.
That he's going to turn the game off, and this is coming from a player that people believe gets all of the calls, and he's even getting frustrated with the officials.
Yeah, Kurt Warner was frustrated also. You have the over-policing of roughing the passer calls. It's just, I don't know. I mean, with the holdings, there was at least a handful of those holdings that didn't even really look that bad to me, Anthony.
Well, they say you can make a holding call on every play, and it feels like that's what they're doing.
Yeah, pretty much it is. And it's a Thursday night football game. It's another bad Thursday night matchup. But we do have Minshew Mania, which went prime time last night. He threw for over 200 yards. His completion percentage through the season so far is 77.6 for 204 yards. Do you think this is an anomaly and he'll come back to earth, or do you think that maybe Gardner Minshew is the real deal?
I've said it since week one that I was buying into Gardner Minshew, and he just continues to play well. He didn't have the best game last night. I mean, he had opportunities to really extend the lead, but he played well enough to win, and right now that's what really matters, especially when you have a defense like the Jaguars playing the way they are.
Yeah, and Saxonville was back to being Saxonville last night. 9 sacks after just 4 in the first 2 games. 3 of those quarterback takedowns came at the hands of Calais Campbell, who recorded his first 3 sack games since his first outing as a Jaguar in week 1 of 2017. This front line, if they keep playing like this, I mean, this division is wide open anyways. I think the big thing here is Jalen Ramsey still want to leave or not?
That's going to be key, because without Jalen Ramsey, this defense is going to change dramatically. And right now, I've said it since day one, 9-7 wins the AFC South. I picked the Jaguars to win the South, and all Gardner Minshew really has to do is keep them within a few games for when Nick Foles comes back, or if Gardner Minshew keeps winning. I don't even know if you go back to Nick Foles and kind of kill the momentum, but without Jalen Ramsey, I don't know if the Jaguars are in the conversation.
Now, the other thing for the Jaguars that would concern me is Leonard Fournette. I know he had the 69-yard run deep in the fourth quarter, but his other 14 carries, Fournette gained a grand total of -3 yards. So, I mean, he had more success catching dump-down passes than he did from running the football. That has to be an issue in Jacksonville offensively.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about Fournette. He's usually a north-south runner. Do you think that they're trying to change the way he is playing by including him more in the passing game? Because that is something the Jaguars wanted to do this offseason. But I think Leonard Fournette is better off just being your downhill runner.
Well, I think it makes it easier on Gardner Minshew or Nick Foles, whoever the quarterback is the rest of the season. We know eventually it'll probably go back to Foles, but who knows? I would think you'd rather have him as a north-south runner and gaining yards, because if you got Gardner Minshew in there, you still got a young guy, and you need a running threat to help him out here.
You know, in Fournette's defense, the Titans' front seven, they have a really talented, they're really talented at stuffing the run.
But Leonard Fournette is a top 5 pick. So You got to expect he's going to do something here. It could be maybe the offensive line for Jacksonville is not run blocking as well, but even with that good front seven, Gardner Minshew didn't get sacked last night.
No, and that was the key, protecting him, and they did that really well.
Now,
I'm really impressed by Jacksonville's receivers, because that's always been a question mark. Who is going to emerge of that crew of really 4 or 5 players that you can make the case could be starters on the team? And it looks like it's going to be DJ Chark, Conley, and D.D. Westbrook.
yeah, and when you look on the other side of the ball, the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel said after the game that Tannehill was not very close to entering the game. If he's not very close on a night like that, is this ever going to happen where they switch? Because to me, Ryan Tannehill can't be worse than Marcus Mariota, and through his career, Ryan Tannehill has shown when he is healthy, he is a solid NFL quarterback no matter what anybody wants to think.
No, I agree, and I thought they should have went to Ryan Tannehill in the third quarter, right after that second half, or right after the first half.
If you remember on our first week, if you listen to the NFL Weekly Pick'em show, anything like that, I thought Ryan Tannehill should have been the starting quarterback the first game of the season.
I agree.
So
no way.
Go ahead.
I mean, if you're ranking them right now, I mean, I don't know if I can put Marcus Mariota in the top 32 of NFL quarterbacks. I am putting Gardner Minshew ahead of Marcus Mariota. For a mobile quarterback, getting sacked 9 times, he is the Eli Manning of mobile quarterbacks. That's what I think of Marcus Mariota.
Except Eli Manning has accomplished something in his career.
Oh.
So, makes it a big difference there. At least with Eli Manning, you know it is possible that he could play really well at some point. With Marcus Mariota, I don't think he's ever really shown us that he can do something like that. And when you look at the AFC South right now, who's the best team, Anthony?
I don't know if there is one.
Because all these teams have serious deficiencies. I mean, the Jaguars can't run the ball.
That's what I mean. I don't know if I can pick one. I think right now, until somebody shows me something, it's dead even. But after the way the Jaguars played, if they can get Fournette going, I'm not backing down off my pick. I think the Jaguars are going to win that division.
I still think they are, too. I mean, the wild card here is Jacoby Brissett and the Colts and what they can do there. I think it's this right now is between everybody but the Tennessee Titans. Because I don't think that the Titans are ever going to figure this out for some reason, and I think they're going to screw around. Do you think that they go to Tannehill for the next game, or do you think they're still
Titans
going
are
to
just too
Mariota?
inconsistent? I think, against my better judgment, it's going to be Mariota.
Yeah, I think it is too, against your better judgment. Let's look at a few injuries right now. Deshaun Jackson is out versus the Detroit Lions. I know as a Dallas Cowboy fan, you're really upset about that. But Doug Peterson announced that on Friday. So that limits Carson Wentz's weapons, maybe takes away his biggest weapons. What do you think here?
Well, as of now, they ruled Deshaun Jackson out, but Dallas Goedert and Alshon Jeffrey, they're still questionable. There's a chance that they both can play, but I don't see Eagles are going to be without both of their starting wide receivers. You put them in trouble, even though it's a home game against Detroit, because the Lions are playing really well, especially Matthew Stafford, rejuvenated.
Yeah.
And that Eagles secondary sucks.
Yeah. And if we look at the Buffalo Bills, running back Devin Singletary, hamstring injury is still up in the air as to whether he's playing on Sunday or not. Sean McDermott said on WGR in Buffalo that there was nothing new at this point. We're kind of in a holding pattern. But Devin Singletary, I think, is a really important player for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, he is, because he is their running back of the future. But it's not like they have, they have Frank Gore last week against the Giants. Still looks like a player who can get the job done despite his age. They also have TJ Yeldon, and they have a soft matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, I hate to say. But the Bengals give up the most rushing production of running back so far.
Yeah, so I guarantee if Devin Singletary can play, this is one game he doesn't want to miss. The New York Jets Coach Adam Gase, I can't believe I'm still saying that for an NFL team, announced Friday that linebacker C.J. Mosley, defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, wide receiver Demaryius Thompson, and Jordan Jenkins.
Thomas.
Oh, yeah. What did I say, Jackson? I was still had Deshaun Jackson on my
Thompson.
mind.
Thompson. You said Thompson.
Oh, whatever. His name's Thompson now. And Jordan Jenkins would not practice. Also, Brian Poole with a groin was injured during Thursday's practice and will be limited on Friday. The Jets have some serious injury issues here.
Yeah, and I think I said it on one of our earlier shows this week. Even when Sam Darnold comes back, this is going to be another mulligan season for the Jets and Sam Darnold.
Pretty much every season since 1969 has been a mulligan season for the New York Jets. The Detroit Lions, Jared Davis, we already talked about the Philadelphia Eagles side of this, has a chance to play Sunday. And I think that you take Deshaun Jackson out, it gives the Lions a little bit better chance. But I think they've got to have Jared Davis in here to really have a good shot at winning this game in Philadelphia. You there, Anthony?
You
there? Anthony.
Hello? Yes.
All right.
Hello?
I don't know. Must have been a Skype issue
Can you
again.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you fine this whole time.
All right. The other thing is this: you have Shad Khan, or whatever his name is, the owner of the Jaguars. We talked about this a little bit ago, but said he is willing to make Jalen Ramsey the highest-paid cornerback to try to keep him in Jacksonville. So, what's your take on that? Is that worth it to you if you're the Jaguars because of everything that has transpired over the last week?
As long as Jalen Ramsey can keep his mouth shut, and it's all about getting paid, because that's what Jalen really wants. He wants to get paid. He showed up at training camp with a money bin behind him, with a Bronx truck. He's going to be a big part of your future, or he's going to be a big part of somebody else's future. He's the best kept cover corner in the NFL.
Yeah, I think there's not much doubt about that. And that's a team that can, like I said, win that division. So if I was them, I think I'd try to get that figured out. All right, any other news you want to touch on before we go into our Week 3 predictions?
No, I think we covered all the major injury news of the week.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's move on to this weekend's games. And we're going to start off with the Houston Texans at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 3.5. We're picking straight up, Anthony. Who do you like in this game?
Dealing with their own issues, but I think I'm going to lean with the Chargers here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chargers too. Both of these teams, the Texas offensive line is so bad, it's hard to pick them with any confidence in anything. Next up, the New York Football Giants will travel to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is a game that went from being not very interesting at all to, I think, highly interesting with Daniel Jones coming into the game. I still like the Bucs here. I think they'll be able to get pressure on Jones and rattle him. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones is going to have some growing pains. The Buccaneers defense, they look good through the first 2 games. I think Daniel Jones will look okay. He hasn't thrown an interception. He hasn't really played. But in the preseason I'm talking about, he had fumble issues. He fumbled last week against Dallas, and that's what I'm really worried about. Not so much interceptions. I think he's a good game manager and will protect the football in that way. But if he's getting pressured, I'm worried about his fumble issues. I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Well, also with a young quarterback, if he's getting pressured, I'm worried about him throwing some picks. No matter how well you take care of the ball, the first time in live action as a starter is a little bit different. We'll kind of combine these 2 games because we get the Cowboys 21.5-point favorites against the Dolphins. The Jets 23-point underdogs to the Patriots. I think we could both probably agree here that the Cowboys and Patriots are probably going to win these 2 games, Anthony.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close.
No.
On either side. Ryan Fitzpatrick is out as the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, so we're going to see Josh Rosen. I don't think it's going to help at all.
Does it matter who plays quarterback for the Miami Dolphins right now? Because
no.
Yeah, the problem is around the quarterback position. Actually, probably quarterback is the least of their worries right now. The New Orleans Saints will travel without Drew Brees to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Number one, if I'm betting any games this week, this is one I'm betting, Anthony. I'm taking the Seahawks, and I'm giving it 4 points. I think the Seahawks win this game. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a mess at quarterback, and I think the Seahawks will improve to 3-0.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually kind of shocked at the points. The point spread's not even a little bit bigger because I don't see how the Saints are going to get anything going on the road in Seattle. The Seahawks have momentum. The Saints defense, especially their secondary, isn't playing well. This could be a big game for DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson.
All right, next up, my Cincinnati Bengals will travel to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are favored by 6. I think if no Devin Singletary is there, I think this game's a little bit closer. But I think this, coaching-wise, I think the Buffalo Bills have a coach that they play for. And what I saw with the Cincinnati Bengals last week was a team that looked like they quit during the game. I'm going to go with the Bills, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Bills here. On the Bengals side, I'm kind of interested to see how Andy Dalton plays in this matchup. The Bills' defense is pretty good, but I'm definitely going to take the Bills to win to 3-0, which is something that I don't know if I was really prepared to say after 3 weeks of the season. I felt the Bills would be a wild card team, but to go 3-0, 2 road games, and now just playing their first home game in week 3, the Bills are in really good shape.
All right, another team that's in really good shape, similar to the Buffalo Bills, are the San Francisco 49ers, who will host the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 49ers won consecutive road games to start the season, and they were big wins. They won easily in Tampa Bay and Cincinnati. And now the 49ers look like they're in line for a huge bounce-back season. The Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, the big 3 from last year and years before are all gone. Now you've got Mason Rudolph. You got Minka Fitzpatrick in the secondary. You give the Steelers any chance here, Anthony?
Probably not. You know, the San Francisco 49ers, they won 2 games on the road. They weren't the toughest opponents. The Steelers are going to play them a little bit tougher, but without Big Ben, Mason Rudolph, the San Francisco 49ers should win this game and should win it convincingly.
Yeah, I like the 49ers big here also. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts were good last year, even beyond the great play of Andrew Luck, and that fact has been underscored by their competitive performances with Jacoby Brissett under center. You still got Darius Leonard controlling it on defense, Marlon Mack running the ball. They're going to play a Falcons team that are coming off a win, but they have issues on the offensive line. I think they're better defensively than what people give them. I will say this, Darius Leonard is in concussion protocol and may not play. I think the Colts should be favored at home here. Without Leonard, I think that advantage is significantly diminished. So I'll say this. If Leonard plays, I think the Colts win. If Leonard doesn't play, I'll take the Falcons, Anthony.
You know, the Falcons got the win over the Eagles, something that nobody really thought. I'm starting to buy into Atlanta a little bit more. You know, I picked the Falcons to win their division in the preseason. I wasn't buying into the Saints even with Drew Brees. I saw a regression coming from them. The Falcons are perennially slow starters. The defense take them a little bit. But, yeah, I think they're going to go on the road and win this game against the Colts.
All right, next up.
Too much firepower on offense. And their running game in Atlanta hasn't even gotten going yet.
Well, I hope you're right because I don't like the Colts. Next up, the Carolina Panthers, who are a mystery. Cam Newton is working his way through a foot injury. It has not been practicing. That could lead the team to start Kyle Allen, a 23-year-old in his second season as a backup in Carolina who had a disappointing college career split between Texas A&M and Houston. I don't know how Kyle Allen is in the NFL, to tell you the truth, but he is. And they'll take on the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, I like the Cardinals here. I mean, Kyler Murray, I think, gives them a more dynamic offensive weapon there. You got Larry Fitzgerald, David Johnson, at some point may gain more than 15 yards in a game. I'm going to take the Cardinals, Anthony.
Yeah, without Cam Newton, I'm not sure how the Carolina Panthers are going to get any type of momentum. I get that they have Christian McCaffrey, but without the legitimate threat of a passing game, they're just going to focus on stopping McCaffrey and rush the passer. The Cardinals aren't terrible. You know, they played the Ravens kind of tight last week. A really good Ravens secondary. They allowed Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald to both go for over 100 yards. Kyler Murray should pick up his first win in the NFL.
All right, then we have the Eagles, who were expected to be strong on defense. Haven't looked as great as we thought they would. They will host the Detroit Lions. There's injury issues on both sides here. Lions are favored by 6. I can tell you this. If I'm doing the point spread, I'm going to take the Lions into 6 points. I'm going to pick the Eagles to win the game straight up, but I think this is a very tight game that the Detroit Lions can definitely win.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game on the road for Detroit. But if you take in consideration, like I said before, the Eagles aren't playing well in their secondary. Matt Stafford looks like he's having a rejuvenated season, and the Lions' defense can hold their own, especially if both Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson are out. I'm going to take the Lions here to win this one straight up.
Spoken like a true Cowboys fan. Next up, the Denver Broncos will travel to Lambeau Field in Green Bay. It's hard to argue with the results in Green Bay, but the offense has not been very good, Anthony. And when you look at that, it's got to cause a little bit of concern. Do you think this is the game where Rodgers will kind of brush off any talk of drama and put up a big number on Denver?
I think this could be a get-right matchup for the Green Bay Packers offense, but it is a good sign for things to come that they're 2-0 because of primarily their defense. That's really just starting to gel together with all of their new additions. This is a new offensive system for Aaron Rodgers. And as great as Aaron Rodgers is, there is going to be a learning curve, not only for him, but for the weapons around him. They should put some points up at home against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I like the Broncos also. Or not the Broncos, but the Packers also. I was thinking we were previewing Super Bowl 32. Preview of Super Bowl 11. The Oakland Raiders will travel to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams had surprising wins in Week 1 and predictable losses in Week 2. The Vikings are at home. I think they have more talent on both sides of the ball, so I think it's right that they are favored. The Raiders have shown enough improvement here. The 9.5 point spread would kind of worry me a little bit, but if I'm betting the game straight up, I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm going to also go with the Minnesota Vikings here. The Raiders look okay, but I'm still worried about their defense. And Kirk Cousins on the other side with Minnesota, he is not having a great start to the season. And this is a get-right matchup for Kirk Cousins. Get him a little bit of confidence. Same thing with his receivers, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. But the key to this game and the key to the Minnesota Vikings season is going to be Dalvin Cook. And I don't think the Raiders have enough to shut down Dalvin Cook.
All right, next up, the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football at the Washington Redskins. The Bears look better in Week 2 than in Week 1, but have yet to crack 20 points in a game. The Redskins played well in a close loss to Philadelphia in Week 1. They got beat by the Cowboys. They weren't blown out, but they were handled rather easily in Week 2. So the Bears, I think right here what scares me is Mitchell Trubisky, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm a Trubisky guy, but we saw it last.
You there, Anthony?
Last year. Yeah, am I going out again?
Yeah, it's that damn Skype. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mitchell Trubisky too, but he showed last year that he can put up points. This is the right matchup for Trubisky to get back on track. If he doesn't do it this week, then I'm really going to be worried about the Bears for the rest of the season. But as of right now, I'm going to probably crack 20 points for the first time in 2019.
All right, I'm going to take the Redskins. I think Case Keenum is an infinitely better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. The Bears have a great defense. I think every Chicago Bears game is going to be close. They're probably all going to be under 45 total points. I'm going to take the Redskins just on a hunch. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams will travel to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns on Sunday night on NBC. Before this season, it seemed to be one of the top games of the year. You had the defending NFC champions against Baker Mayfield and Freddie Kitchens and all that is. But the interesting thing to me is to watch maybe the two best defensive linemen in football, and Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. I like the Rams to win this game. I'm not a huge golf fan, which always scares me. But I think that Rams defensive front will dominate the Browns offensive front.
The key to this game is coaching, and Sean McVay will outcoach Freddie Kitchens. The Browns don't look good. I think they should have really handed it to the Jets a little bit more than they did. They got embarrassed by the Tennessee Titans, who looked like they didn't even look like an NFL team last night. If it wasn't for an 80-yard catch and run by Odell Beckham Jr., you know, his stats and Baker Mayfield's stats wouldn't be as padded as they were last week. The Rams should blow the Cleveland Browns out. At least they'll win by 2 scores, at least.
All right, and what I think we can all agree is the game of the week this week. We have the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think if you want to see the future of the NFL, you watch this game. You've got the efficient passing of Patrick Mahomes, the explosive ability to make plays of Lamar Jackson. And there's no mistaking here, Mahomes is a lot farther along than Jackson. But my question here is, when you look at this game, the Ravens' defense is a lot better than the Chiefs' defense. What do you think happens here, Anthony?
I think it's going to be a close game. It was a 3-point game last year that the Chiefs barely won.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback in 2019 than he was in 2018. Some might think it's an upset. I don't. Baltimore Ravens are going to win this game.
I agree. I would definitely take the Ravens into 6.5 points, but Kansas City, you got to remember, they're missing Tyreek Hill. I don't think they've got enough running game here. They're going to be forced to throw the ball a lot. Baltimore's secondary is really good, and I'm not saying they're going to shut down Kansas City, but I don't think you'll have a 28-point explosion in one quarter against Baltimore. And I think Baltimore can make plays deep and blow the top off that Kansas City defense. I agree with you here. I like the Ravens to win this game. And I think this game is the most interesting game we've seen this season, just because I think it's going to give us kind of a glimpse into exactly how good the Baltimore Ravens are, Anthony, because let's face it, they haven't really beaten anybody yet. They've probably beaten two of the softest team, and a team that's probably in the bottom 5 or 6 of the league. So we really don't know what they have yet. And the Chiefs handled the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars were a little down at that point. Maybe they've got it back last night. But I think that's what makes this game so intriguing.
And that's the issue that I have with the Kansas City Chiefs, is on the defensive side of the ball. And I think they're going to be exploited by Lamar Jackson.
Well, see, I think the other thing you got to worry about here is I don't know that they've got a running game either. So with no running game and no defense, those two things usually do not lead to a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, because the good defenses are going to figure out how to contain Pat Mahomes. And I know that's crazy to say, but you're not playing the Oakland Raiders every week.
Yeah, so how about this? Is Lamar against Mahomes the next Peyton versus Brady?
Possibly. I'm not ready to go there yet. It's too early.
Yeah, especially with Lamar and Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes, this is only his really second year playing, and the same thing with Jackson. So, I don't know. Is Antonio Brown playing this week?
He is, but I think the
there's-
league is going to meet next week about possibly shutting him down.
Yeah. Yeah, but they also threw this out of court, correct?
Yeah, then he had. Did you see the group text that Sports Illustrated got their hands on with Antonio Brown kind of dragging this girl through the mud
Actually, I'm
with
looking
pictures
at
of
it.
her kids and everything else like that? I mean, he is really rubbing me the wrong way, and I don't get offended very easily, but this guy needs to be shut down, and he needs somebody needs to talk to this guy. He
Okay,
shouldn't be playing football.
is this the one where a woman who says Antonio Brown made an unwanted sexual advance towards her in 2017 and was fired after not reciprocating? See what she characterized intimidating texts from Patriots wide receiver on Wednesday night. And so he just texted her on Wednesday night.
I got to look into it a little bit more, but it sounds about right.
In the wake of a Sports Illustrated story detailing her allegations, according to her lawyer in a letter sent to the NFL on Thursday evening, which included screenshots and a message. The woman previously told SI that Brown had hired her 2 years ago to print a mural of him in his home, but ghosted her after she ignored his advances. On Wednesday night, the woman says she received a group text message that appeared to come from the same phone number Brown provided her in 2017. The text chain with 4 other phone numbers on it included photos of her and her children, with the person she believes is Brown encouraging others in the group to investigate the woman. The texter accused the artist of fabricating her account of the 2017 incident for cash. In her letter to the league, the woman's attorney repeated the artist is not seeking remuneration, and for everybody from Indiana, that's money, from Brown in connection with the alleged incident. The texter described the artist as a super broke girl and asked someone he refers to as Eric B. to look up her background story. He then sent a screenshot of an Instagram photo she had posted showing the faces of her young children, adding those her kids. She's awful broke, clearly. And then you've got the messages, and Sports Illustrated has reviewed screenshots of the text and confirmed that they were apparently sent from the same number Brown used to communicate with the artist in 2017, which was provided to her in a direct message from his verified Instagram account, Brown's lawyer Darren Heitner, who was included in the group text but did not respond to the He included his lawyer in the text, said he had not advised Brown to communicate with the woman. He otherwise declined comment. So this guy, they ought to just cut his ass right now.
Yes, New England should be proactive and get in front of this thing. He shouldn't be on the field. It's not like they need him.
No.
Because it is now giving them a little bit of a black eye. I mean, I get signing him just in case the allegations weren't true, but now the more this unfolds and the more Antonio Brown acts out like a child and bringing other little children into this, it's disgusting to me.
Okay, and it looks like Bill Belichick may be getting tired of it too. He said he wouldn't have any comment on the off-the-field issues regarding wide receiver Antonio Brown. He cut his Friday morning news conference short after fielding 7 questions on the topic. I know that there are questions about Antonio. We all take the situation with this team very seriously, Belichick said at the end of the opening statement that began with these thoughts on the Jets. There are some things that we are looking into, but I'm not going to have any comment on any of the off-the-field situations or questions on that. Anything on football, I'm happy to answer. Belichick was then asked how he balances the off-field issues with football as it relates to Brown, who participated in his 6th practice with the team on Friday. When we work on football, we work on football, Belichick said. So, Antonio